Why is Governor Adeleke thanking President Tinubu for his victory? Well, the Adeleke's endorsement of President Tinubu for 2027 is getting the backlash. Critics are questioning the governor's support for President Tinubu. Former Osun State Governor Rauf Aregbesola has spoken about the Saturday governorship election. We'll be getting details of what he said. Hello everyone, welcome to the program. Thank you for joining in. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Wakimale, live for you here in our Abuja studio. Let's get you some developing stories that we've been following for you about the Nigerian economy. The headline inflation rate has dropped from 15.91% in June to 15.43% in July this year, according to the newly released data by the National Bureau of Statistics. In the Consumer Price Index report that was released earlier today, the NBS says that the July 2026 headline inflation rate showed a decrease of 0.48% compared to the June 2026 headline inflation rate. On a month-on-month basis, the headline inflation rate in July 2026 was 1.57%, which was 0.09% lower than the rate recorded in June 2026. We've got so much reactions, backlash, and the counter-accusation and permutations that have led to the Governor Adeleke's emergence as the winner. But tonight, we're moving away from those rhetorics of the election to the implications of the election. Don't forget, in another few days or so, campaigns will open for 2027. What does this mean? Does the Adeleke's victory and the Osun governorship election have a direct correlation with 2027? You are in the mix as a voter and as a citizen, and you need to be part of this conversation, and we'll be breaking it down for you. But before we get started, let's serve you with some of your political roundup stories.
Former governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, has filed a fresh 10 billion naira suit against the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, over the alleged denial of access to his wife and son while in custody. The suit filed by his lawyer, Ubong Akpan, also lists the chairman of the ICPC and the Attorney General of the Federation, AGF, as the second and third defendants. According to the suit, the former governor alleges that the ICPC repeatedly prevented his wife, Atautu Asabe, and his son, Abba El-Rufai, from seeing him while he was in custody. The Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Pate, says the All Progressives Congress is gaining strong political momentum in Bauchi State following the reported defection of more than 150,000 members of opposition parties to the party. Professor Pate stated these in Azari, Bauchi State, during the APC mega rally organized to welcome new members and unveil the party's candidates for the forthcoming elections. The minister said the new members came from various political parties and described the development as a demonstration of growing confidence in President Bola Tinubu's administration. Meanwhile, stakeholders of the All Progressives Congress (APC) have risen from a meeting in Yola North local government area of Adamawa State with a reaffirmation of their support for the re-election of President Bola Tinubu and the party's candidate in the state ahead of the 2027 general elections. Speaking at the event, the chairman of the APC Yola North Stakeholders Forum, who is the candidate of the Adamawa Central Senatorial Zone, Mr. Mustafa Salihu, says most residents of the state have keyed into the reforms of President Tinubu and want to see them consolidated during his second tenure. Governor Nasir Idris of Kebbi State has dropped his deputy, Mr. Umar Tafida, as his running mate for the 2027 governorship election and picked former Commissioner for Finance, Mr. Ibrahim Oji, as his replacement. Addressing journalists shortly after the unveiling, Governor Nasir Idris said he had no personal disagreement with Mr. Tafida, describing the change as a political decision. Lastly, the Association of Nigerian Artisans and Technicians, ASNET, has pledged to strengthen partnerships with relevant stakeholders to expand self-employment opportunities and contribute to sustainable economic development. The national coordinator of the association, Comrade Adeshina A. Akinyemi, stated these at the 3-day Nigerian Artisans Leadership Summit in Abuja. The association also said it will soon commence a nationwide voter education and permanent voter card PVC mobilization to boost participation in the 2027 general elections and support President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's re-election bid.
Thank you so much, everyone. There you have it, your political roundup stories. So, former Osun State Governor Rauf Aregbesola has congratulated Governor Ademola Adeleke on his re-election, saying the outcome of the August 15 election reflects the will of the people and must be respected. In a statement released from his office today, Aregbesola commended members of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, his own party, for their conduct during the poll, describing the elections as an exercise of the sovereign right of citizens to choose their leaders. He urged Governor Adeleke to regard his victory as a renewed mandate to unite Osun State, deepen development, and govern with fairness, humility, and a strong sense of responsibility to all citizens, regardless of political affiliation, while wishing them well as he prepares for another term in office. Votes have been counted, the winner declared, and Governor Ademola Adeleke has secured yet another 4 years in office, making a second term. But perhaps the bigger political conversation is only just beginning. It was a fiercely contested election, and one of our guests before the vote, Chief Dele Momodu, was emphatic. He said, quote, Adeleke would win. Tonight is back. He threw the challenge last week Friday, and he said to me, or last week Thursday, he said to me, if Adeleke wins, I will come back and I tell you I said so. Now with that prediction now tested by the ballot box, there are in fact more emerging narrative. The victory has quickly given way to controversies. Adeleke's endorsement of President Bola Tinubu for 2027 is drawing sharp reactions and raising uncomfortable questions about opposition politics, principle, and political expediency. So what exactly did Osun voters say with this election? What defeated the APC? What does Adeleke now owe the people who renewed his mandate? And can an opposition governor celebrate victory today while campaigning for an APC president tomorrow? Let me allow you to listen to this portion of my last Thursday interview, which now has provoked yet another conversation. Take a listen to Chief Dele Momodu. All right, I will come to you with what he said, but Chief Dele Momodu is joining me virtually on the program tonight. Chief Dele Momodu, many thanks for joining us tonight.
Good evening, Sheung.
Thank you so much. I know you are smiling.
We should have had a bet, you know.
If we had a bet, I'll be losing this time around because you were emphatic, and I thought that you were playing to the gallery. You were saying Adeleke was going to win. There are a few times I've disagreed with you on your political permutations, despite the fact that, yes, you have contested for president, you've been around for a while, but sometimes I still feel that maybe some of your permutations are wrong. But this one, you got it right. What gave you that notion or that feeling that Adeleke was going to win?
Well, let me say I have a background in research methodology. You remember on your program in 2022, I told you that if Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu gets the ticket, it will be difficult for anyone to defeat him, but at the same time, you are going to end up with a full-blown dictatorship. That night, social media just went wild. Oh, how can you say so? How can? So today, you will agree with me that most Nigerians believe that our democracy is being endangered. In the case of my twin brother in Osun, Governor Ademola Nuruddin Jackson Adeleke, it was obvious that this man is a grassroots man. Very down to earth, loves his people to bits. I'm one of his citizens on my maternal side. My mother is from Golufi, in between Ibefe and Ede. And I followed his trajectory with keen interest. So it was obvious to me that the people love him, he loves the people, and I don't know how he did it. He made sure that he erected a major project in every major part of the state. Ile-Ife, Ilesha, Iwo, Ede, Osogbo, and so on and so forth. And it's visible. It's not something hidden. Dualization, flyovers, and so on and so forth. Lights everywhere, and you know, one of his mottos is the mole. So, for those of us on ground, we knew he was going to make it. The other thing is that he's a very spiritual man. We come from the same background. He comes from both Islam and Christianity. Same with me. And his mother was a prayer warrior. My mother was a prayer warrior. His brother, and I don't think much credit has been given to chairman. We all call him chairman. I now have added executive producer to his name because what happened in Osun was a movie. At a stage, you will not believe it, I almost collapsed when I started seeing the shenanigans of these APC apparatchiks and the political bandits that invaded Osun State. But I knew, despite all these hula-baloo, he was going to win. And I salute.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah. He's won with 511,067 votes against APC's Baloye Bamiji's 444,815. That's hardly over 60,000 vote margin, higher than what we saw with himself and Oyetola. But I'm wondering, you were claiming that Adeleke was going to win. But at the same time, you were afraid and you were alleging that there will be use of federal might. If Adeleke was genuinely strong as you claimed, why did you repeatedly warn about, before the election, about the possibility of federal interference and manipulation?
Although you saw it clearly, there was federal might on display. You saw reckless statements from Baba Father Unsi, from Wole Oke. All of this we posted on social media. They were so reckless about using federal might. And Baba Father Unsi in particular walked into a police station and walked out gingerly and boasting that he will sue those who manipulated an obvious statement from him in which he was telling the whole world, before the whole world, that I don't mind being recorded, kill anybody who is not APC. Wole Oke said his own in a different manner. Anybody who doesn't support Ashwaju, whatever happens to him, he should accept it. I mean, what chicanery. I have never seen anything so, reckless. And that's why I predicted to you that they use federal might. There were places where the police fired tear gas at people who were not, fighting anybody. They were going to exercise their franchise, vote peacefully, and boom, you started seeing, tear gas. So that's federal might. Then the number of governors who invaded Osun and were insulting their fellow governor is unprecedented. It as a result of their fear of the presidency. So everybody was falling over themselves, as if they were robots, just to please the president. There is no reason. I know some of these governors who are very close to Adeleke, extremely close, but they had to come as if they were packed, like sheep to Osun, and they were saying all kinds of nonsense.
But if Senator Adeleke had colleagues in Accord Party who were equally governors, would he not have gotten the backing and the support of such people? But he was a lone child in the political party that is
never have said anything untoward towards his colleague. He will come there.
No, I'm saying that you are no. But the point I'm making is that you were saying that you are questioning the presence or the support of APC governors in that election, and I'm saying that if Accord Party had governors, wouldn't they have been present to support Adeleke? Is there anything wrong with you having your political allies supporting you?
I'm not talking about supporting or not supporting. I'm talking about the manner of support. For me, it was really a bad optic for the APC. And at any rate, what were they coming to tell the people of Osun? That all the federal government roads have been fixed? Oh, that now food is everywhere in Osun? That the business of people are running perfectly? They had nothing to sell. That's why they failed. They could have carried everybody from every part of Nigeria to Osun. They would still have lost. And look at the money they wasted. We are hearing they wasted about 60 billion plus, which was their budget. And I'm happy that now we have advanced to a stage where Nigerians will say, okay, bring the money, it's our money. The money that you cannot pay the workers, the minimum wage that you cannot pay the workers, the money you cannot pay the doctor, the money you cannot pay ASU and all of them, let's take it.
All right.
And they took it and made sure they voted for their
Chief Mamadou, you before the election, you made an even more provocative argument. You said, quote, this is not Adeleke versus APC. It is Adeleke versus President Tinubu. Well, Adeleke has won now. By your own definition, are you therefore saying that President Bola Tinubu personally lost the Osun election?
Without any doubt whatsoever, he lost. Who was Oyebanji in the scheme of things? Who was Oyetola in the scheme of things? They were all name droppers, name dropping, Tinubu everywhere. That is why a man who said on full camera that they should kill fellow citizens could walk in and walk out of a police station as if all was well. So, and the reason, I will tell you, is the fear of January 2027. They are afraid that Osun election will send a wrong signal to the electorates across Nigeria. And it has already done that. Even in Osun today now, people are saying whether the governor supports Tinubu or not, they will support their own preferred candidate based on merit. I'm happy, and we must also give kudos to social media. The young ones, what Davido did with social media, making sure that they were aware he was updating them regularly. I think that also saved the day. Otherwise, till midnight, at a stage they stopped counting the votes, and they were going to do their abracadabra as usual. And I also give kudos to the women of Osun and
but do you have any evidence to the fact linking the lull in the IREV performance to whatever that is happening in the dark?
Experience is the best teacher, Sheun. From experience, people perform their magic in the dead of the night. It happened before our eyes.
But on this particular occasion, you are alleging and you are linking the lull that we saw in the transmission of result in the IREV at about 10 past 10 p.m., about 11 p.m. up until midnight when it started coming back up. you are linking it to a possibility of a rigging tendency or plan to rig. Do you have evidence to this allegation you have just made?
I am happy you took the word out of my mouth already. Possibility, yes. It was very possible. It was very likely. If you ask me, I would say 70%. And Nigerians were scared. I had people calling me, begging me. It's the same way everywhere in the world, even in Ghana. In Ghana, 2 years ago, when President Mahama won his election, I started begging him. I said, Ogasa, please don't go to sleep. Don't go to bed before tomorrow morning. They might change it. That fear is normal. There's nothing extraordinary about it. It's the nature of elections.
But Oju Okalu, for example, had come out to say, in fact, Osun State might give President Bola Tinubu one of the highest votes margin in the country in 2027 election, because now APC will work for Bola Tinubu, and then you have Ademola Adeleke and Accord Party working for Bola Tinubu. When you said that Bola Tinubu was the one who lost the election, there are those who say, no, Dele Momodu is wrong. Tinubu is actually the real winner in the Osun governorship election.
Sheung, let's have another bet. Oji Okalu is my very close friend, and I know him as a politician. Sometimes he says those things just to fulfill all righteousness. There is nobody you will call in APC today who will tell you they are scared. They were dead scared. I've always told you, majority of my friends are in APC, and I know they were scared. 20 Osun people, I don't know about any state. If there is one state I know will be most difficult for Tinubu to win, it will be Osun. And for many reasons. Even when Tinubu in those days instructed them to support President Goodluck Jonathan, and I know that you, as a good political reporter, will remember that the Osun people chose to vote for Nuhu Ribadu, despite the fact that they knew he was not likely to win the election. That's what they call principle. On that occasion, they did not see any reason why they should support Jonathan. What has Jonathan done for our state? I told you I didn't support Ademola Adeleke because he's my friend. I supported him based on performance. What he has done in our small state of Osun is unprecedented. He has changed the landscape of Osun forever. I was born in Ile-Ife, spent the first 28 years of my life in Ife. I can guarantee you that after the university, what Ademola Adeleke has done is the biggest investment in a township that he has now transformed into a city. It's unbelievable. And that's it.
So, but in this, you are still insisting that Bola Tinubu lost in this election. As far as those who think that Bola Tinubu, but ADC, I imagine you will be supporting ADC in Osun in 2027. But ADC was humiliated, came a distant third. The vote of ADC wasn't even up to 30,000 in this election, and you are a chieftain of the ADC.
I told you on your program that in every election there are usually two mainstream opponents. I told you last Thursday, and that's one of the reasons why I had the confidence to tell you that Accord was going to win, because it was a battle between Demola and Tinubu. So if you doubt it, you can no longer doubt it. I said it on your program. I knew ADC was not going to win. If we had a strong candidate, it would have been difficult for me to abandon him to go and join Demola. But Demola was being oppressed, was being terrorized by the federal government.
But why do you think, and then those who are now attacking Senator Adeleke for supporting even after all has happened? You see, Davido tweeted to say, I will never support APC. But Senator Adeleke still regurgitated, reaffirmed, and restated the fact that he will support President Bola Tinubu. When I had the exclusive with him yesterday, he said it. He said he's going all out. Even he can work with his enemies and the opposition for President Bola Tinubu. Why are those attacking Senator Ademola Adeleke for saying he will support Bola Tinubu?
Let me tell you something. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's ancestral roots have been traced to Osun State. So it is within the limits of diplomacy for Adeleke to support somebody who comes from his state, even if the man has not actively identified with Osun State. But we all know Oyetola is his cousin or nephew, and at least so we know that he has links to Osun. So the governor will be expected to say good things about a citizen who is a president. But that does not mean we will follow him. How will not follow him? For example, now you've quoted Davido. I've not seen the video, though I've read it somewhere, that Davido or Twitter, that Davido says he will not support Tinubu. How do you support somebody who, when they were killing Osun people, did not discourage the killing? All he said is go and vote in peace. After saying all is fair in politics. All is not fair in politics. Politics is not a war. Thugs were shooting, were carrying cutlasses. Nobody stopped them. So how do we support such people? We must respect the memory of those who lost their lives, those who lost their. In fact, the government should set up a panel of inquiry to find out exactly what happened, recommend appropriate punishment for those miscreants who took over Osun. But for the people of Osun who rose up stoutly against this rascality, I don't know how many people they would have killed in Osun. So if the governor wants to support his citizen, it is his right. I'm a Democrat. I will not force him.
So, but Chief Dele Momodu, there are those who will think that this endorsement of Adeleke for Tinubu is more a political insurance. So why should he be hounded and being convicted online because of his own political decision?
No. People are thinking that Adeleke may have other reasons for supporting Tinubu. You know, in Nigeria, you have the most powerful president in the world who can turn a man into a woman, as Chief Akinyele once told me in an interview many, many years ago. The president of Nigeria is so powerful that I don't know of anybody who is not afraid of him. So, because of that, those in active politics always pander. Look at them, Soludo in Anambra. Look at our friend in Abia State. And all of them, they are all pledging their loyalty to a party they don't belong. Abga, Labour, and now maybe Accord. But I expect that it may be very difficult to convince the people of Osun State to follow a man who allowed people, don't let me say directly, who allowed people to unleash terror on their state. It's going to be difficult to forget.
Yeah, so I need to close this conversation in 30 seconds. With what we saw in Osun State on Saturday, what would be your permutation of how 2027 will go? Just 30 seconds. Who do you think could take 2027?
Nigerians are going to resist APC. It's a quiet, silent, bloodless revolution in the making. And you and I can have a bet once again. I assure you, Sheung, I'll be back here to tell you I said so. Thank you.
Now I'm worried because you are in between Edo State, Ile-Ife, and there's a lot of spiritual contestation that goes on within the communities where your lineage and your ancestral home are linked to. So now I'm worried to be to be dragged into betting politically with you. Even though that is my forte, that's what I live, drink, and eat every day. But you are becoming some sort of babalawo these days. You are now making some.
Well, someone called me Babalawo recently for studying Yoruba at the University of Ife. There is nothing wrong with being a Babalawo.
But you can't say that for anyone to win an election. You can't make incantations. Incantations won't win elections. If you are strategic, if you work hard, you will win.
If anyone who has gone to Ile-Ife to develop Ile-Ife, that's what we call Omimokuro, that person probably drank Omimokuro, is the purest form of water. I am telling you that Alalefe, Alale Odudua, we make sure that all oppressors will go away in 2027.
So
the oppression is
the road leading to Ile-Ife is the road to victory. Let's all go and drink the water, if that is what you are saying.
Yes.
Chief Dele Momodu.
Everybody should go to Ife.
Thank you so much, Eunice, for your time. We'll take a break.
Thank you,
everyone.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Break. We'll be making sense of the figures of the election outcome and the implications for the 2027 elections. What have we learned? What are the lessons? What are the patterns? What do they tell us? Osita Chidoka is a former Minister of Aviation and the Chancellor of the Athena Center, and they'll be breaking this down for us tonight. Join us again, everyone. All right, thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Let's now look at the figures, the implications of this election for the 2027 election. I'm being joined by the Chancellor of the Athena Center, Mr. Osita Chidoka, who is equally a former aviation minister. Thanks so much, Mr. Chidoka, for your time tonight.
Thank you very much.
Last election, before the 2027 election, and Osun has always been a litmus test.
Yes.
2023 election, 2015 election, 2019 election, 2027 election, it will be another test, not only for INEC, but the entire political and electoral architecture of our country. What do you make of that conduct of Saturday?
Well, in Nigeria, bad news is always what we expect out of everything. And we always look forward to what is wrong with Nigeria. I am an eternal optimist. I critique to make for changes. So last Saturday was another example of the progress we've made in the electoral technology and conduct of our elections. And particularly at the Athena Center, we were very excited because a few things happened that happened correctly. Number one is that the competition in Osun State was intense. It was so intense that the president has to move back when EFCC interfered in the election in Osun. EFCC's intervention, gave wrong signals about how the election was going to go. But luckily, the president pulled back from that. And that created what I will call the atmosphere for the election. It created an atmosphere for the election. So there was deep competition. Second one was the technology. The technology in Osun was very... I would say that INEC performed very well in their use of the technology because the INEC technology made it possible for everybody in the country to see what was happening in real time in the election. And so the competition was intense, the technology worked, and then the people behaved well. Because despite technology working well in some places, we've seen INEC officials and electoral officers behave badly. So, but in this particular case of Osun, the competition was very intense. So we drew 3 lessons from it, and I will come to that later. But what is important about Saturday was that technology was working, the people in the field were working, and the more important one, which is the one I think every Nigerian should be happy about, is that AI played a critical role in this election. All of us who monitor IREV, who used to spend hours trying to get people, we used to have 300 people downloading from IREV and then entering manually. AI made it possible for us to aggregate the results in minutes. As INEC was going, you could see Yaga's ERAD was working, you could see Data Fight was releasing the number, NICEA, one other group, I was watching everybody. Athena's numbers were coming in. So the ability to create what I call darkness over the election was removed, such that before they went for collation, I issued a statement saying, no Form E40G has been filed in this election. For 3,300 and something polling units were already up by INEC. So there are less than 71 polling units. So we don't expect to see anything different from the collation centers. So there was visibility across the country. Everybody had seen the result before we could even go for collation.
So this election, one would say, is an election one can describe as largely peaceful, largely credible. Is that right?
Totally. And not only largely credible, it was that INEC took 2 decisions, and I'm praying they will take the 3rd one that worked well in Osun. They started it in Ekiti. So they made it possible for the beavers to not only capture from EC8A, but to also enter the results into the e-collation platform on the EC8A. So INEC itself did a wonderful job of making their staff to fill the form and enter the numbers into the beavers. Entering the numbers into the beavers puts already a major safeguard. The numbers you enter cannot be more than the accredited voters. So this was particularly helpful in making sure that there is visibility of the result as we progress down the line.
However, there are concerns because the transparency in the process was also a pressure on the possibility of manipulating the process. When everybody saw, as early as 7 a.m., Young Africa's ERAD, in conjunction with China's television, was almost telling us what the patterns of the election, who was in the lead, who was winning what, the figures were already coming in. It didn't make sense for anybody to go behind and say he or she wants to rig the election because it could cause chaos. However,
yes,
the strength of that process is also its vulnerability equally, which is the IREV. See what happened. 87.48%
at
of
8:48 p.m.
was uploaded.
Yes.
And that
8:48.
It paused.
Yes, at
for almost 2 hours.
Yes.
Now, it wasn't up to almost midnight before we start seeing
11:35,
the progress that it was coming. And Nigerians started putting pressure. And there are those who think that, what happened? Do we need an explanation from INEC to tell us that lag, that 2 hours, what was happening? Did someone go to the bathroom? Did the network go down? Did the server go down? What exactly went wrong?
INEC needs to explain it. And what was interesting is that we at Athena Center, what we did immediately was to pull the 471 polling units, calculate the number of votes in those 471 units remaining. And we saw that it was not useful.
It was insignificant.
Yeah, it was insignificant. So we looked at the full registered voters in the 471. We looked at the numbers, and we knew that it was a waste of time. And we applied also the voter turnout of 40% and said, even if 60% turns out in this 471, it's not going to change the result. So what I'm saying is that technology is now our friend. Competition is our friend. And the high number of turnouts made something very difficult in Osun. And you know what that is? It made vote buying difficult. At over 1 million voters, they were buying 10,000, 20,000 votes. So there was not enough money to buy the voters in every polling unit because it's just not operationally feasible to buy votes at a certain scale. So Nigerians must move away from sitting down and critiquing the system to going out to vote. And the Osun people taught us a new lesson. In some polling units, when they saw that the person there was answering phone call too much, they said, we will follow you to the collation center. They followed him to the collation center. So the thing
and not only that,
yes.
You know what they did at about 11 p.m. midnight? Guess what happened? Some of them trooped to INEC headquarters.
Yes.
Fearlessly.
Yes.
They confronted the guns and the security. And at those, I'm not one of those who will say chaos or disorderliness should be the order of the day. But they said they want to keep vigil. They said they want to see what is happening. Yes. So they mounted some kind of vigil outside of INEC office. And if they were screaming and yelling at INEC office, if you were rigging upstairs, you will know that your life is in danger. Because like they say, dear you, rig election in Kano, yes, you will lose your life.
You won't come out of that.
Exactly.
We need that in the whole country. And you see, the good news is this. The good news is this. And that is the very good news. The politicians who still talk about writing results and going to INEC and falsifying results are like those Africans who were kidnapping our fellow black men for slaves. You know, they had kidnapped a number and taken them to Bonny. I want you to listen to this carefully.
I'm listening, yeah.
They have taken them to Bonny Port and to Port Harcourt to sell. They didn't know that slave trade had been abolished and that ships were patrolling the high sea, stopping slave ships from coming to Africa. So they kept the slaves. They were feeding them, no ship came. They kept feeding them, no ships came. After a few weeks, they had to release the slaves because no ships came. Reason, they didn't know the world had moved on from slave trade. Now, the people that were loitering around Osun promising that they would change the results were like those slave traders. They were sitting and waiting. They didn't know the world had moved. Yaga was already collecting the results. Athena Center was already collecting the results. Data Fight was already collecting the results. So we knew the numbers from every ward and every polling unit. And guess what? We are going to do it in the 2027 election. So long as INEC, there is only way to rig the election in 2027 is not to conduct it. If you conduct it with this process, by 7, we at Athena Center will be giving you results state by state. How many have been uploaded and what the scores are. We will tell you that. Even if they said no technology will work that day, we will use manual system. We will put over 5,000 people on the 8,000 wards in Nigeria and be downloading it. Because you see, Nigeria just needs to make a move. We need to get out from here. We need to stop this. Election rigging is old. It's not something any leader does. Don't they feel ashamed when they meet other world leaders and you come with a tainted mandate? No, that has gone. So what we need to do now is to say that this leader is the person Nigerians want. Yes, don't quarrel with our choice. Even if you don't like him internationally, that's your business. This is our choice, who we want. So if we want to elect President Tinubu, please leave that to us. That's our choice. But to now come around and say that election results will be altered, will be done, will be changed, the president will win because he will write. Oh, no. That's old news. And I think President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has caught the spirit. When he intervened against EFCC and when the results went as planned in Osun, I knew that he has understood the game. That this game is not a game of, those people promising writing results. It is a game of those people who will go out to the people and convince them about what the government of the day has done, whether at the state level, at the local government level. And when we finish with the federal government, we will then come to the state government, state independent electoral commissions, to make sure that the people we elect are the people we want. Leave us to the consequences. When we elect and the person doesn't do what we want, we will stay with the consequences.
I mean, if you look at the 1960 and those who say, and I heard some of the leaders who are debating locally in Osun State who said to me, they said, look, Sheon, in the 60s, you have heard about the WWW. Because the WWW existed before internet. Yes. It was in Nigeria, the Wild West. And it was around the many communities in Osun State were in the center of that uprising, of that revolution. Correct. Now, the idea is that there are those who are saying that Wild West is not only in south. The spirit was not only resident in southwest Nigeria, it could be resident in any part of the country where votes can be subverted, and that might be resonated or that might be resurrected in 2027. And I saw what happened. You could see how people mounted barricade in the polling unit where we covered and monitored, and we mounted our live equipment. We discovered that to gain entrance with vehicle, there was a resistance to say, look, who are you? Who is in that car? Open your boot. These are citizens, not security operatives.
Yes.
Who mounted barricade around, and you could see that they didn't go home. Some of them cooked and brought it to the polling unit. They put tent there. They put chairs there. Rented plastic chairs to say, we are going to mount vigil until this result. And we saw them. You could see them. Oh, the young, the feeble, the strong, all of them were there. And this calls for something. And I'm going to plead with every Nigerian who has a voice, who has a platform to say, let's plead with the Nigerian people. Everyone who has a voter card to test the process.
Yes.
It's like a technology that you have not used before. This voting, it looks like the vote we count, isn't it?
Yes.
Let's test it. Let everybody come out, isn't it?
Now, what you should notice about Osun is not only the fact of what happened on election day. Prior to the election day, there was a massive registration of voters. It grew by 19% over last election, from 1.9 million to 2.3 million. So it looks like there are an engaged population in Osun. It didn't stop there. If you look at the number of votes cast from 827 or thereabout thousand in 2022, today there was about 1 million, a million and 5,000 plus votes, valid votes cast. So if you look at that growth, and if you look at the turnout, if you compare that turnout to the 2.3 million, Osun is almost at 40% thereabout turnout. So you will see that there is an engaged population. An engaged population makes it difficult to rig an election. So Athena, we have Electoral Observatory, we put out a preliminary statement. We say it is a combination of technology, deep competition that has made this possible. So there is need for people to stop sitting at home and telling us what is wrong with the election. And there is also important need for those people who do not believe in democracy in Nigeria, and there are quite a number of them in public office, who believe that subverting the will of the people is a sign of being a good politician. No, everywhere in the world, the sign of being a good politician is convincing the people why you should lead them. Not that the fact that you know how to rig elections. And they will, like I said, they will be like those slave traders of old. They will know that the ship has sailed.
Has sailed.
Yes.
But do you see surprises happen beyond the figures, beyond the numbers, in terms of how citizens choose their representatives? See what happened in the 10th National Assembly. It was a lot of surprises. A lot of people didn't return. And you see, it was a rainbow color in the National Assembly. And there are those who will say, even governors, some governors will be surprised. They won't return. Some National Assembly will be surprised. They will be shocked. Do you envisage that there will be shockers?
Well, I don't know that there will be shockers. If there are people that, of course, will not win to go back, and there are people like the last election, 2 or 3 governors couldn't make it to the Senate. But I think that we will be looking at the mood of the country as we head towards the election in November, December. Because politics is an interesting game, and it is both tribal as it is rational. People vote with their emotions. So we will, for certain, let me put it this way, if the governor of Osun was confronting another popular candidate from a third party that was not the national ruling party, maybe the election would have been different for him. But the people in Ekiti, Osun has made up their mind that this is now people trying to do this guy in. So his tenure was not even, there was no referendum on him. It was more or less that he has done well by our standards and we want our governor to continue. So I see a problem. I see that in 2027, people are most likely going to vote by what I consider what the variables are for them. So in some states, people are going to be voting for zoning to ensure that it remains in the zone, because after this zone, it will be our next zone. In some parts of the country, religion is going to determine how people will vote. In other parts of the country, in the urban centers of the country, the issues affecting the middle class will be an issue to vote. In the rural part of the country, the issues affecting the rural people will be an issue. In all of this, I'm saying that our worry should not be surprises. Our most important thing is let the will of Nigerians be reflected. And when it is reflected, I believe everybody will accept it in good faith, when you know that nobody had an upper hand in the election. The idea that the courts will be determining who rules us is something we should get away from. Nowhere in the world is that happening anymore. Recent elections around the world, there were no legal challenges.
Finally,
Yes.
Mr. Chidoka, if there is anything that INEC did well, and your hope for 2027, what would that be?
Enter the results on the BVAS as you take a snapshot of the results. Enter it in the e-collation. And then post the EC8B on the web, like you're doing with EC8A. Once they finish collation in any center, upload the result from the EC8B. Because that's the only part where decisions can be taken to enter a result.
But we don't see
the
the EC8A digital.
The EC8B.
Yeah.
Yes, we don't see it.
Yeah, we don't see it. They only have access to it.
No, they after the collation there is done and is recorded, it takes time. They record every polling unit into the EC8B. We are saying snap it with the BVAS, create a BVAS for word collation, or use one of the BVAS, snap it and upload it, and share with us what made it to the EC8B. Because the reason why people talk about collation centers as rigging areas is because there is no visibility on what happens in the collation centers. But once we see what happens in the collation centers in real time, then nobody will worry about going to court.
And I've said it. I've said it before that the biggest places or the point to rig election are the RAs and at the local government collation areas.
At the ward collation.
The ward collation.
The local government is almost like just entry.
Yeah.
But it's in the ward collation that decisions are taken.
Yeah, people, when you enter the result that have come from the different wards, at the local government, people alter the result on the...
No.
And so let me tell you what I mean.
Yes.
So you see 120, they put 0. In the total result, they put... they easily enter figures other than...
That's what happens at the ward
level
collation center, because it is there that a call is made. It is there that a collation officer can say, this result is higher than accredited voters. I will not accept it. Yeah. So he can cancel a result. He can alter a result at the point of EC8B. Yeah. So my view is that if INEC makes that available publicly, then the way we have collected the results from EC8A, we will collect EC8B, and we'll see what made it to the final result.
Absolutely.
And by the time they go to local government and state, it will just be to enter the results and collect. And of course, if we start doing it electronically, we may even do away with local government and, over time.
Thank you so much.
I think this is progress, and Nigerians should take this as part of what we have struggled for in our democracy and push it forward to 2027.
I must sincerely thank you. Mr. Osita Chidoka, former Minister of Aviation and the Chancellor of the Athena Center. Thank you so much indeed for your time tonight.
Thank you, Sean. Appreciate it.
That's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sean Akimaloye. God bless Nigeria.